Hey there YouTube, Hather64 here. I'm coming at you today with a pretty interesting deck profile. It is a concept that mostly applies to this format because it's designed to deal with spellbooks and dragons, so that obviously might not be a problem for much longer, but it's been pretty interesting. I got the idea from a deck that topped Danish Nationals. It made first place, I believe it's Danish Nationals. Anyway, it's Dino-Rabbit with a Mechro engine and Malefics. So I'll go ahead and lay it out for you and see what you guys think. Alright, the monster lineup is Double Rabbit with the 3 Vanillas, Sabresauruses, and Tropizols. It doesn't play Tordides. Mostly, I believe his reasoning, or my reasoning, was that Tordide's really Valorable, so it really hurts to have a Tordide Valor, and because Valor's so popular right now, it just didn't seem worth it to play it to me. The Danish guy wasn't playing it either. I'm not exactly sure of his reasons, but I imagine it was something like that. But I didn't play it because of the Valor problem, and it also allowed me room to play Thunder Kings. And Thunder Kings really good against both spellbooks and dragons. Triple Commandant starts out the Necrovalleys. Necrovalleys is really powerful in this deck. I'll explain that when I get to it. Triple Cyber Dragon. Cyber is obviously really big. It's hard to deal with him for most matchups, I believe. He's a heavy hitter, and he's a dark monster with more than 2,500 attacks, so you can Eradicator him, and I think that's one of his biggest pluses, is that because he's so big, it's hard for our opponent to deal with him by attacking, and he's an Eradicator target. And Malefic Stardust, also an Eradicator target, also big, not as big as Cyber, obviously. And he protects your Necrovalley. Necrovalley can be pretty important in this deck because, like I said, it shuts down your... it's important. I'll just that in a minute. And then the double TK. It's good against spellbooks, it shuts down their searching. It can be good against dragons because it also shuts down their searching when they're banishing for dragons effects. And it can stop a TK, and it can stop a Draco's Act or something from being summoned. That's why I like TK for this deck. The spell lineup is Triple Necrovalley. Necrovalley is very good against both spellbooks and dragons because it locks down the graveyard, like Kaitu. The reason most spellbook players play Kaitu now, aside from the spellcaster, is because he locks down the graveyard, stops your dragon opponents from being able to remove for their effects, and stops Mirror Match from being able to banish for Fate or Priestess from the grave. Necrovalley does the same thing. Stops your opponent from being able to remove anything, shuts down cards like... And it also has the added bonus of shutting down cards like Reborn. Necrovalley, like a good Necrovalley combo, can shut down a dragon player because they'll have no outs to it. I also play double Royal Tribute because Royal Tribute plus Necrovalley against dragons is effectively an Eradicator for them. You eradicate their spellbooks, you clear their hand, they've pretty much lost. If it's they've pretty much lost depending on the situation. I've known a couple situations where I've been easily able to come out of having been eradicated before, but it's a similar concept to against dragons with Necrovalley and Royal Tribute. Usually their hands consist of mostly monsters, so if you tribute them away, they've lost their hand and their graveyard's locked down, so they've effectively been shut down. They need a side blocker or Mystical Space Time Food or something to come out of it. And it also shuts down Breakthrough Skill. Nice little added bonus. Other spells I play are Double Duality. I don't really like Duality in Rabbit decks, especially with these Malefics in here. I hate not being able to special summon for that turn, but I find that Royal Tribute is really, really important, so I have to try and dig for it, and Duality is probably the best way to do that. I've contemplated Upstarts, but I haven't done this deck enough testing to really try that. And Double Forbidden Lance, I really like Forbidden Lance in Rabbit decks. I like to be able to protect my Rabbit plays, so I play Double Lance. The Danish guy wasn't playing Lance, I think that was a mistake on his part, but he did top his Nationals. Double MST. Double MST is important for clearing back rows, so you can get your plays going. You can use it to stop a field spell from stacking your Necrovalley and stuff like that. And then Signal Book of Moon. Book of Moon is just one of the most versatile cards in this format. I just think it's too important to not play in any deck right now. For traps, the Solemn Duo, the Starlight for negation, Double Eradicator, It's good against everything but Dryadens, and it has a little bit of play with Dryadens. At worst, you can potentially get some sort of plus if your Malefics are about to die, you can tribute it with Eradicator and possibly get some advantage over your opponent. At worst. At best, clears Spellbloods, clears Fire Fist, traps, stuff like that. Double Bottomless, and double Fiendish Chain, and one of the most important traps of the format, I think, is double Compulse. Compulse easily deals with Stratos Act. If you can Stratos Act, Compulse away your opponent's Stratos Act while you have Necrovalley on the field, they've pumped a lot of Dryadens into their graveyard, their Stratos Act's drawn, they have no way to deal with the Necrovalley, and you're securing your victory that way. As for extra deck, I play double Ladia, double Dolta. It's not as easy to go into all four, but I like the option to be able to go into two of either one. Dolta, especially, he's really important against Dryadens. I usually just opt for Dolta against Dryadens. Rest of my seeds are Cowboy, Dweller, Maestro, Shockmaster, and a Pearl. Pearl, just in case I am dealing with an Ophion and I need to drop a Malefic, so I can seed into a Pearl to get over the Ophion and then drop my Malefic. The rest of the extra deck is triple Cyber and Dryden to remove for Malefics, and then triple Malefic Stardust because you side into two more Malefic Stardust Dryadens in order to have more Eradicator targets and Spellbooks, and you also side into a third Eradicator. A couple of important side cards, I think, are the Mechro Cosmoses. Mechro is really easy to play and is really good against Spellbooks, and Skill Drain is pretty good against a lot of road decks and it's pretty easy to play too. Obviously, the double Malefic Stardust Dryden and third MST. A couple other things I wanted to point out about this deck is that while it's designed to beat this format, it's not awful against that format. Necrovalley does a pretty good job of hurting Boojins because they lose their ability to use Killin, and they use their ability to use, what's his name, Turtle. And Malefic Cyberend is bigger than a Yamato that's had its attack double with Crane. So it's pretty effective against Boojins. I haven't done a lot of testing against it, but it can do its job. Another deck that I did some testing against, it's not that relevant, but it's pretty good, is Archfiends. Archfiends rely on the graveyard a lot. They're not the biggest deck, but they play pretty cool. They might be a pretty popular deck to see around, and Necrovalley shuts down them too. As for Fire Fist, I haven't done a lot of testing against Fire Fist, so I can't say whether or not they'd work very well. But those big monsters are really important. You just dropping a Malefic Cyber, and it can be really hard for them to deal with. One last side card I wanted to go over that I put in here because I was planning on playing it in a tournament where Boojins were going to be there is Allied Justice Core Destroyer. He's a really cool card. When you declare an attack against a light monster, you can destroy it immediately without damage at the onset of the damage step without damage calculation. So he's a 1200 attack, level 3 Dark Machine monster who starts under Bottomless and can kill Yamato or Satsuwano easily without having to worry about most traps, or without having to worry about Bottomless, and without having to worry about Crane or Honest. He's a pretty cool side card for Nets format. Alright. Well, that's the deck. It's nothing special. It's a pretty cool concept. There's not a lot of interesting combos to it, though. Like, the coolest thing I've done is drop a Malefic Cyberend with other monsters on the field, swing with a Cyberend, and then book it so I can swing with other monsters for game. That's about the most interesting I've ever done. It's more of a control deck, you know, it's a lot of anti-meta in here. It beats the meta, but it loses a lot to more road decks. Like, I had a pretty tough matchup with Constellars, and it doesn't do a lot against Mermails, unfortunately, but it's the end of the format, so who knows. But I think it should be a pretty solid choice in this format, because Necrovalley locks down the Boojin graveyard, and Ladia and Dolta are still really powerful cards. So, alright, that's the deck, and I'll see you all next time. Thank you.